Now the Bible says what? That in him was life, and then that life was what? Alright, now you say in him. Now, okay, we have now the understanding of who this him is, and that understanding is based on the verse 1, chapter 1 of the same John. We said that now in the beginning was what? Was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was what? Was God. It's an affirmative statement that begins to put demand or an awareness demand that the one we are talking about is not the one that is born of flesh, but it's one that is formed within the space of the Spirit. Now it begins to show the supremacy of operation by all angles. Now we begin to generally go ahead, and now because we now know that that him is the one that was in the beginning, and was the one that was with God, and is the one that is God. Now based on that understanding means that unless we attain the place of him, there's part of God that we will fail to understand in that context. So the Bible says now that in him was life, and that life was what? The light of men. Now there are two things there. There is a place that life transitions into light. And when life transitions into light, it transitions when it comes to the conversations that now involves men. So when it comes to men, that same life now transitions. We begin to see something else. That what was life in that conversation, in fact the first principal conversation, we are now seeing light coming in the space of light, of life. Now these are two things. Now that life is basically the nature aspect, right? Then the light we see there is the manifestation of it. So there are two things. That my nature is attained, which means that we are being brought to the awareness of that nature, and that nature was life itself. In that sense means that there's no alternative to what we are being introduced to in verse 4. That the only thing that can begin to produce light by manifestation is life only. So we are being introduced to that life. That what that life bears, right, is the light aspect. So you attain that life by inviting the person of that life. Then you become that life. Or that what happens when we invite Jesus in our space. That we don't become two beings, but that which Jesus is in that context, Jesus has begotten one of his own kind. So in the nature of Jesus, he has begotten his own. And I've told you before that one thing that the begotten will do is that he will beget one of his own kind, which means that he came as the begotten son, but now there's a bit of an expression of the begottens. But we enter in the form in which he was. So now if you say that in him was life. Now he said in him was life. He didn't say that now that life was just found in Jesus. No, in him was, which means that the part of his entire makeup is life. So what is found literally in him was life, which means that he is the person of life. Then it says that this life was what? The light of men. Now it didn't say that now it began to bring light to men. No. You see, the same life that was now became what? Light unto men. It was in the context of manifestation, because the only way we could be sure that that life is light is that that light or that life had to illuminate. Now in the process of illumination, now we got to see something that was not yet there. So what was in him by expression became an illumination. And that illumination in that context was now the manifestation of the same life that was.